Hi, everyone. You clicked on the long range discussion here from East Coast Weather Association. I'm meteorologist Mike Griffith, and we're going to take a look at the next maybe 15 days or so, and maybe even a little bit further than that. Just taking a look into the future and seeing what we can expect in the medium to long range. And looking across the Northeast today, there's a couple rounds of showers and thunderstorms making their way across Philadelphia and even South Jersey and New York City. And what it's going to do is have another round later this afternoon or this evening, and those showers and thunderstorms could be kind of heavy, maybe even strong. I don't know so much about severe, at least not yet today. Flooding rains out here in Oklahoma and northern Texas, and also in the Arkansas and up into Missouri here, and up into Kentucky as well. And on the backside of this system, we're looking at snow. Some crazy pictures out of western Kansas this morning with some trees being weighed down by the weight of the heavy snow. And there's been some power outages reported out here in western Kansas as well. This whole system here gets its act together and starts to swing a cold front down into the south, touch off some severe weather, and that will push eastward as we go into Sunday. Continued more unsettled weather here across the Northeast, including D.C. and Philly, with scattered showers and thunderstorms possible here, even in South Jersey and also the Delmarva. Cold front gets its act together. Still snowing in western Kansas. Might have to watch for some snow totals out there that are pretty significant. Snowing in Nebraska, too. Sierra Nevada looking dry, except for the Pacific Northwest. Still active out there as well. And we're looking at the cold front to come through the east here by Monday evening. This could be a very strong line of showers and thunderstorms. Some of these thunderstorms could produce strong winds and hail here in the east. This is Monday, and there could be a random tornado as well because of all the energy associated with this cold front moving through. A lot cooler behind the front here, less humid and windy all the way from D.C. up into Philly and more than likely New York too, as colder air rushes in behind the front here. Snowing on the backside of the system on Wisconsin up into Canada, not totally unheard of for this time of year. And then we're looking at another system ejecting from the Rockies, and it starts to get its act together across the south. More storms here possible across Arkansas and Mississippi. And this system actually goes into New Orleans as well. They've seen their share of severe weather this past season, and they're going to probably get some more as we go into Thursday of next week or early May. And a big rainstorm develops here in the East Coast. Multiple waves of low pressure along a stalled out front is going to be the story as we go into late next week. Lots of rain. It starts to get cloudy. It starts to rain next week. End of next week, Thursday, Friday, into next weekend, Saturday as well. And it's looking like this is going to be kind of like a cutoff low where it's just going to sit there and spin and bring lots of clouds, cooler than usual rain, and lots of dreary weather. It looks like a Carolina wedge could probably set up, as we call it, which is just a cooler chunk of air here in the western Piedmont of North Carolina and South Carolina. That's next weekend into the 7th. And that system just kind of really sits there and stalls out, doesn't go anywhere. Continued wet into Monday, May 8th and 9th, and Tuesday as well. It looks like the computers don't want to take this system out of here. Still remaining very active here in the west. Snow in the higher elevations of the mountains, and maybe even Denver catching some of the action there in the Mile High City. And we're looking at a lot of rain up there into the Dakotas. Just a very active storm track from the Pacific jet stream across the northeastern part of the country. And what the computers are trying to do is just keep this pattern active into the future through the middle of May, with all these storms just keep coming in from the west and through the jet stream, and just cool, wet, and stormy across the northeast as we go into the middle of May and beyond. And that trend is more than likely going to last beyond the middle of May into more than likely into later of May. Now let's take a look at some of the temperature departure from normals here. We just talked about precipitation and the storms. It looks like it's going to remain warm here across the east. This is the GEFS ensembles. So this is an average of a bunch of different computer model simulations. So it's not just one model, which can be wrong and go back and forth from one day to the next. Continued warm here into this weekend, and also Sunday, and even into Monday ahead of the front. But then once the front comes through, we cool down dramatically. Colder up here in Wisconsin and also in Minnesota and Iowa. Warm out there in California, which is going to bring fire danger to them out there. And looks like we're just going to remain unsettled here across the southern plains and into the southeast as we go into the first week of May. Much cooler than usual as we go into the beginning and the middle of May. And that seems to be the trend and the pattern here across the east. Is just going to be cool and wet. Much below normal temperatures for this time of year for middle of May, as it's going to be cool, damp, and rainy across much of the east. And what can we expect in the west? Well, if it's cooler and damp and cold in the east than usual, we can expect ridging in the west, which means the west is going to start to warm up and get a lot hotter and drier than usual, bringing fire danger up there and also up into Canada and British Columbia as well, as we're looking into the middle of May here. Looking at the current sea surface analysis, which helps us predict weather trends as far as temperature and jet stream and storm tracks in the future. Lots of warm weather here over Hawaii, considered I can't even talk today. Considerably unstable here across the Hawaiian Islands. They've been having a lot of flooding and a lot of rain recently with all this warm ocean water, which causes rising air and thus storms. And this is going to basically cause the jet stream or fuel the jet stream across the southern tier of the United States, which is going to keep the southern branch of the jet stream quite active through the early part of this summer, which is just going to keep us cooler and wetter here than usual, especially along the whole East Coast and even down into Texas and even into Mexico, as the southern branch of the jet stream just continues to remain very active. Looking off the coast of Africa right here, no real warm waters to work with, so nothing really crazy going to happen here. I mean, we could get a spin up or a disturbance ejecting off the coast. We're going to have to start keeping an eye on that as we're heading into hurricane season June 1st. And it looks like the waters are not favorable right here across South Africa. What this means is that there's going to be a lot of sinking air also, so it's not really favorable for development in the tropics right here, especially in this area right here. Warmer and wetter than usual Gulf of Mexico means that we're just going to have a lot more rain and storms across the Gulf Coast and eventually working their way up the coast in the southeast. Lots of indicators are saying that we're just going to be cool and wet through the early part of the summer. Stay tuned and visit ecwxa.com. We have long-range outlooks there. Also, we have our threat map page to keep you updated on the severe weather this coming weekend. And that's all I have for you right now. Thanks a lot for watching East Coast Weather Association. I'm meteorologist Mike Griffith. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody.